Hi, good morning. Just wanted to get you started first thing in the morning with making a pulled pork roast in the crock pot to get started. So it is 7 a.m. and I have 2 onions. I have about a tablespoon of jalapenos, about 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, some salt and pepper, and this is my roast. It just says pork loin roast, boneless pork loin roast. I just want to show you before I put everything in. I take about maybe a half to 3/4 of the 2 onions and I put a little bit of a layer on the bottom and I break them up a little bit. And then I cut all of the strings. So now you can see how it just opens up. And I lay that right in there with the fat side down like that. And then you're going to add the rest of your onion, tablespoon of garlic, kind of spread that around, and then all of our jalapenos. I put the barbecue sauce later and the Coke in here. You can do Coke or beer. The sugar in it helps the barbecue adhere to the meat for a good 6 hours, and then I'm going to come back and check it. So first I take a pan that I can fit in my freezer, and I take some parchment paper. Crumple the parchment paper up because then it's easier to work with instead of it being white and open and flat when you can't crunch it. To start, we're going to do 2 cups of Quaker oats, and I just get the old-fashioned Quaker oats. That's all it is. I do 2 cups of that, Whole House dark chocolate, and we always buy Jiffy peanut butter creamy. I'm gonna do 1.5 cups of peanut butter. This is just 3 quick freeze ahead breakfast snacks and a dinner because I got the waffles and pancakes for the breakfast. I'm making these as the snacks, and I'm doing the barbecue pulled pork sandwiches for tonight. I'm gonna head and do 1/2 cup of the morsels in the freezer until set. Probably takes about 30 minutes or less. I've had these in the freezer for about 30 minutes. You can pop them right in your mouth and eat them. They're not hard as a rock frozen, but they will stay together in the shape you need them to be. We're gonna get started with freeze ahead some breakfast ideas. I'm going to make waffles and pancakes, let them cool, and then we're gonna put them in freezer bags. So we're gonna flavor them up a little bit with eggnog and vanilla extract. This is the complete pancakes, but I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to add an egg and some oil for making waffles with it, and then I'm going to cut half the water and do half water and half eggnog to give it some flavor. What'd you say, Cassandra? You're okay. What? Okay. So I'm going to do 1/2 cup of the eggnog and 3/4 cup of water. Now when you make your waffles, you're gonna add some oil. The oil is gonna thin it out to put inside your waffle maker. Okay, my pan is feeling pretty hot. And I'm actually gonna do about half. Make them smaller and don't spill and make a mess like I just did. So, you wait until the bubbles start. When you see a lot of bubbles popping, then you know you can flip them. Okay, I just flipped them. All the little bubbles were popping, and I just did a real quick check. So we're gonna get this done, and we're gonna jump to the waffles next. Okay, we're moving on to the waffles. Before I start this, I am going to heat up my waffle maker. My waffle maker's here. What I'm gonna do is after they're cooked and they're done, I'm gonna cut them in half to freeze them, so this way they can fit in the toaster. I'm going to do, very similar to the last one, I'm going to do 2 cups. So there's my 2 cups of that. I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to do 1/2 cup of the eggnog. So I'm gonna do 1/2 cup of the oil, 1/2 cup of water. And I might add more water. I'm sorry, and a dash of vanilla. I just have a feeling it's gonna make it richer. Not ready yet. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it. Make sure you spray. I use my measuring cup and I'm gonna pour it in there. I'm gonna go ahead and check it, give it a flip back. It looks beautiful. So this is what they look like when they're all done. I made one batch of the pancakes, the eggnog pancakes, and then I made 2 batches of the waffles. I did break them in half so they would fit in the toaster. I'm gonna store them like this in my freezer bags when they're completely cooled. This is how it looks as a whole. I'm just gonna pull them apart. Toaster. And I probably only do this in the holiday time. Eggnog is not plentiful all year long, plus it's expensive. So this is just something fun for the holidays. You can do any flavor. I've also done the flavored coffee creamers. I do the amaretto, the French vanilla, the peppermint mocha. Add that to your pancake batter and make waffles and pancakes with different flavors that way. I hope you enjoyed this. We're gonna move on. We're gonna look and see how the pork is doing. So you see all the onions and the jalapenos are in there with all my seasoning. Start breaking it up a little bit. It has been cooking since 7 a.m. and it is now 1:15 in the afternoon. So what I want to do now is I always start out with a little bit of that little 1.5 inches of water on the bottom just so meat doesn't stick. But the pork has got all these juices coming out of it. I am going to strain most. I'm gonna leave this like it is. I'm gonna let it dry out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this out and freeze it. Let this cool. I'll show you what I did. This right here, I'm gonna let this cool, put it in the freezer for another meal, another time. And I'm gonna go ahead right now with this, add my beer can and my barbecue sauce too. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like I said, you can also use Coca-Cola. That's about a 1/2 can of barbecue sauce. And you're just gonna, I have it on low. You're just gonna stir that together. So we're gonna let that stew. I'm gonna leave the lid cracked halfway. If you leave it cracked a little bit, some of the steam gets out and some of that moisture will get out and it'll dry out a little bit. Okay, it's been about an hour. See how the edges are starting to dry? How they're looking a little harder? That's a good thing because all the liquid is going to the middle. So, I don't know, let's see if you can see. Can you see what I'm talking about with the edges getting a little dried out? That's what we want. And I would say in about another hour, it'll be ready to eat. We always pair it with plain potato chips. So I hope you enjoyed today's video of the freezer meals. We made 3 items. We made breakfast, snacks, and we made a dinner. We have our breakfast waffles and pancakes that we froze. I made them eggnog style, which of course I told you, you can do flavored creamer from coffee and make them any flavor you'd like. We froze those. We also made the peanut butter and oats and chocolate chip energy bites are in the freezer to grab and go. And we also made our barbecue pork pulled sandwiches for dinner tonight, plus we took some out to freeze for ahead of time. So all of these 3 items you can make ahead, freeze for whenever you need them. Hope you enjoyed my video. If you like my videos, please subscribe and hit the like button and give me a thumbs up.